Welcome to year 2024. The year we have been expecting is here, so I say Happy New Year and welcome again to Summit. It will be a great year for us all by the grace of God. I am Jumoke Michaels. Banji, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Jumoke, and it's going to be a great year, as you rightly put it. Yeah. I am very, very optimistic that having successfully exited the challenging year, that's 2023, we're actually set for progress, development, and growth at the individual and at the national level. That's my hope this year, and I believe our president has actually set the tone for that. We're going to look at all of this on this edition of the program. My name is Banji Busari. Happy New Year to you. Wishing you the best of 2024.
All right, so on the program this morning, like Banji said, we'll be x-raying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's New Year message to Nigerians. And to do that with us, we have our guest and our friend, Mr. Jide Ologun, public affairs analyst and an attorney at law, to look at this with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year, and to all our viewers. And let me say that the New Year does not need to do anything except for us to either change our ways and benefit from the blessings that are loaded into the year. So on that note, once again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Susan. We wish you the very best. You've been a great pillar of support on this program. And we wish you the best in 2024 in your business, in your family, and every endeavor that you lay your hands on.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
All right, so talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's broadcast on New Year's Day, he said quite a lot, and there's been all kinds of reactions to that broadcast. He urged citizens not to falter despite the tough times and difficulties they are facing. And he said we are made for these times. In your own words, how would you describe that message to Nigerians?
Firstly, let me commend that communication. It's very important that leadership should communicate with the led. And on a New Year Day, he has come to express some promises concerning fulfilling the renewed hope agenda. And I think my greatest interest is to see those promises manifesting to the advantage of the nation at large, and not just for a few citizens, which calls for going beyond the promises and ensuring that the action plans are implemented, because as it is, that statement represents, a strategic plan. So when you have a strategic plan, which is a long-term plan for success, you now embark on action plan to ensure that some of the promises come to reality. For instance, food security and affordability, the social reorganization, then the tax and fiscal reforms to drive local and foreign investments and profitability in the country. And of course, he mentioned the fact that we expect that the refinery, Modular Port Harcourt refinery and Dangote refinery should come, into operations to ease the hardship on the people. And I'm particularly interested in that aspect of food, because I recall that recently when the president arrived in Lagos, on the island, people, while cheering him, were also screaming, "Ebiun power," which means we are hungry. So, and as a great leader, I think that should be a matter of concern. And of course, he has promised that about 500 hectares of land will be cultivated to facilitate the food security. God has blessed Nigeria with fertile climate and soil, and I can say this on behalf of the Ondo State people, that Okakoko has very arable land that can be, tendered for partnership with the federal government. And of course, in that community, we are very wonderful producers of food. So if these promises actually worked upon and implemented. And I think by the 9th month of this year, we should be, trying to evaluate to say, okay, the food inflation, which is at about 32.8% now, has dropped to maybe 18%, and that people, are really beginning to enjoy the good of the land. So, by and large, like Aesop, a wise man, said, that after much is said and done, more is said than done. I hope that more would have been done than said.
Well, thank you for this background that you have laid to this topic. The president, I believe, is actually in touch with the reality in the land. He actually said, he admitted that we are in difficult times, but he said tough times do not last. That's his hope. And his speech actually revolved around the renewed hope agenda that he sold to us before he was elected. And he thanked Nigerians for actually entrusting him with that mandate to lead us, to actually bring solutions to all the myriad of problems that we have faced over time. One of those problems which we are currently facing is the issue of epileptic power supply. And he actually did address that in his speech, where he said a deal has been signed with a German company, that's Siemens, to actually bring free, electricity to all nooks and crannies of this country. Same with crude oil. He also reiterated the fact that our local refineries would begin production 2024. How realistic do you think these tall dreams are?
They are realistic. It depends on the political will to implement them. And that's what I said, that when you make promises, you get into action to fulfill the promises. And let me talk about the power project in Nigeria. In the COP28 in Dubai recently, the president met the Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, and that issue was on the table, how to reinvent the energy sector in Nigeria. And Germany has achieved almost 100% access to electricity, so we can leverage on that partnership. But let me also say this, that this presidential power initiative was given birth to in 2018 during the regime of the former president Muhammadu Buhari. And from the promises made, it was as if within 24 months or thereabout, there will be consistent power supply in Nigeria. But we are yet to experience that. So the president needs to do more. And let me point his attention to the angle of sabotage. There are some cabals in this country who are representing the kingdom of darkness because of their business interest. You see, they must sell their diesel, they must continue to sabotage the infrastructure in the energy sector. Grid must collapse for them to, run their contracts. So we have more than these promises to bother ourselves with. But the president also said that there can be no meaningful economic transformation without a consistent and reliable electricity. And let me address us on how this will bring relief to the citizens. I drove to Ibadan and we could count about 6 vehicles that got burnt on the highway, burnt completely. And I started ruminating in my mind, and I realized that right now many people travel with fuel in their car. So if there's any slight accident, this highly inflammable object. Exactly. So now, today, I fueled one of our vehicles, then bought some fuel for generator. I spent 59,000 naira. So I asked my daughters, how much is minimum wage in Nigeria? They said,
I hope you didn't have to buy at 1,200. Because that's the new speculation now.
At 568 naira in NNPC. The NNPC already came out to say that speculation is fake, you see, and I hope that is correct. So I told them, so how much salary are we spending on fuel that may not run for more than a week, so to say? So you need to power generator in your office, at home. So this energy is critical. And fortunately, Nigeria has all the energy mix that we need. You talk of solar, you talk of biofossil, you talk about, any that we can use to generate electricity. But you need to clamp down on the saboteurs. The same thing we have in our crude oil and gas sector, the oil thieves. So these are issues that are bothering me. And I hope the president will engage all resources. Sincerely speaking, if we can solve electricity problem in this Nigeria, Nigerians are so industrious, and that will bring down the cost of production, definitely bring down the cost of inflation, then probably make foreign investors who have left this country to return. Because your cost of production tells a lot on your bottom line. And the local producers who have not been able to come on board, most especially those within the small and medium scale entrepreneurship windows, so that we can become productive, begin to earn foreign exchange, and then stop the consumption culture that we must import, within the space of very scarce foreign exchange reserve that we have. So if, like a wise man said, that one change at a time, even if all the president focuses on for now in the economic arena is this electricity and this refining capacity, I think it will help him. And again, I looked at the tax and fiscal projections, and from what I'm seeing, I expect that being an accountant, he should be able to have a commendable revenue drive to help his vision. For instance, the Treasury single account has been stepped aside.
I thought that was just in the Federal Capital Territory.
And not
Federal
exactly.
Capital has been exempted from it. Other states are still operating
and
TSA.
Now, I think it will go across board. And if you are relating with the federal government and you are funded by the federal, they are in categories. Yes. But what that will do for us is to have, and that is a way of telling us that even the Treasury single account has failed in its primary objective, because it was given back to in 2012 under the tenure of the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan, and fully implemented by Buhari that succeeded him. And so what we need to do is to ensure that we have a consolidated base for revenues coming from ministries and agencies with the CBN. And we can now look at what to do with this money. And if we now migrate to the culture of generating commonwealth for common good, I think Nigeria should be repositioned on the path of prosperity, which means that those who are leading out also should reflect the realities of the economy. Because I don't know how many have monitored the budget, for 2024, and I think the budgetary allocation of the National Assembly was bloated with about 74.34%, you see, and the impact of that on other sectors of our national life that require budgetary intervention. So these are issues. The citizens must see that the leaders are reflecting the sobriety expected as we are passing through this valley of shadow of hardship.
All right, so when we take it to the area of insecurity and also issues of corruption, like the opposition is saying that there's massive looting, going on in this administration now, that there's no comprehensive report of the revenue, of the monies that come in through the subsidy removal, that nobody is giving any account of what is actually going on or where the country is financially at the moment. So when we look at insecurity, there's been a spike again. We have so many issues going on again. regarding insecurity. Does this message to Nigerians actually address these sectors adequately?
It addressed it in theory, but we need to implement. You see, if I go to an exam hall and I've studied so well, I know all the answers, and I get to the exam hall and I'm just looking at my answer sheet, and after they ask us to submit, I write my name and submit. I've made a mess of all I prepared to come and download in the exam hall. So, and talking about the insecurity, I read somewhere that there's a partnership with Turkey on security on our roads. I hope that will be effective. And again, I mentioned the issue of cabalism in our economy. The insecurity in Nigeria is obviously fueled by some cabals. Obviously. And so you need to go beyond the kinetic engagement and look at the non-kinetic and how you can deal with the sponsorship of terrorism, which is very important. Very important. Otherwise, we'll just be beating around the bush, because the president is not he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, but he's not the chief of army staff, he's not the chief of naval staff, he's not the head of customs, he's not the head of...
But the buck stops on his table.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to see the kind of link, the relationship between insecurity and the new policy of actually going fully agricultural. The president is talking about 500,000 hectares of land to be cultivated in 2024.
In the midst of
How do people get to the farms to do all this, to realize all this? Look at what happened in Plateau, for instance.
Exactly. All these things, they have sponsors. It's very important.
So are they capable enough, or do they have the will, the drive to go all out?
Are we saying the president is incapable?
Next to God, the government is the most powerful.
Very well.
In any part of the world. So if the government is not performing, it's also by choice. The Prime Minister of Italy just suspended a lawmaker who took a gun, to the New Year party, and somebody was injured. I mean, and I can see some things that are heartwarming if they are driven through. One of the top functionaries in this government is now being questioned by EFCC for the Special Intervention Fund, about 37-point-something billion naira.
As a matter of the former minister in that position has also been summoned.
Exactly. And under the concept of human resources management, the CEO of that agency has been suspended for thorough investigation. So if we don't have accountability, then we find ourselves in the template of reinforcement theory in industrial psychology, which means that if you don't sanction a bad behavior, you reinforce it. So people will just come to the office, carry the title of honorable, clean up our money, and then they go. 37-point-something billion or whatever it is. It's not small. And some of us were complaining. And this was money that was supposed to serve as palliative. I wonder if some people know that they are drinking human blood and eating human flesh with all this corruption. But having said that, I must acknowledge that these things are the point of allegations. But can we go to criminal justice ecosystem where you can have a vibrant criminal justice system, where you have thorough investigation, diligent prosecution, and a committed judiciary? We still have the case of the Accountant General of the Federation that moved up. Obviously, on the face value of it, he stole that money, subject to allegations and conviction in court. Even though the matter is in court, we have read he has returned some. But I read somewhere also that he was banned somewhere. So we need to touch on our orientation. As a people, we need to rise up and say no to corruption. And Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended has clearly stipulated that the state shall abolish, not may, shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So if the president wants to succeed, he needs to go all out there and reinvent the governance culture of accountability. We are talking of state funds. We are still talking about Nigeria Air, where about 2 billion was spent on designing and launching just the logo I could have designed for federal government free of all charges. You see, we're hiring Ethiopian aircraft. There must be accountability. People are involved. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Some people cannot just go in there in the name of honorable and be impoverishing the nation, particularly when they have been entrusted to go and help. You see, and you see all these big ministries and the big names, humanitarian and disaster. We don't even need disaster management in this country anymore. Let's be turning millions of people to millionaires. What have they done? In Sweden, I saw a picture of one of the ministers who was asked to pose for a photograph, and she posed with her burger. You know, no unnecessary
returning from work,
oddlies and things like
no
that.
PAs, no special advisors around that.
Honestly speaking, Nigerians are the most wonderful human beings on earth. I don't understand where the resilience that is in the citizens of this country came from. They are so hardship conditioned that and that's why the president must try, please, to prevent any implosion. To prevent. And you have to start from those who are around the president. They will laugh with him, make all forms of promises. But the buck stops on your table. At the end of the day, it will be the tenure.
No, don't forget that the president actually, in a couple of months ago, the president actually said, all the ministers, there's a ministry or a committee that will monitor and evaluate the performance of all the ministers. Let's just hope. We should round off. No, we can't round off that. Don't worry.
It's almost 30 minutes.
Okay. I'm interested in the area of economy that the president actually very much harped on in that speech. He was talking about boosting competitiveness in business, improving economy and all of that. Now, how do you align that with the policy, the harmonization of the foreign exchange currencies that has refused to work, it has defied all manners of solution. And this government inherited, 440 naira to a dollar or thereabout, less than 500 official rate. And unofficial was about 700. But today there has been a serious spike, like ×3. So how does he achieve this competitiveness in business environment with this policy that has, defied all, that has not brought solutions?
I leave the immediate and medium-term approaches to the central bank and those who are in the finance ministry and things like that. But on a long-term basis, we need to become a productive nation. It's as simple as that. And how do you do that? Let there be an enabling environment for your local producers to enjoy a competitive advantage, for foreign direct investments to be attracted into the country. And if you want to learn on how that can be possible, look at Singapore, look at the United Arab Emirates, look at some other countries, look at China, look at India, you see. And having said that, I read something that is also looking in the direction of hope, of renewed hope. That Nigeria is now beginning to have a talk with China, a business concern in China, to establish a steel company in Nigeria, and of course a military hardware outfit in their Jalkuta rolling mill premises or whatever. So when we look at all this and make things work, we have the resources. Talk of mineral resources, talk of technical resources and everything, then we can become productive. Because if you are not productive, you cannot dictate. It's like, I don't have a television in my house, my children go to watch next door, and suddenly the man says, because he has to keep it on, and the price of energy has gone up, we should increase the money. The only way I can solve that problem is to go and buy a television. If I start shouting and my children must watch television. So let's for once look at Nigeria as a project. You know what China did at the time? When we were younger, you talk of Chinese products. It was reckoned as inferior. And Chinese embarked on isolationism. Like, let's develop local capacity. And you can see how China is moving around the world today with economic might. And let me say this, we are friend to China, we are friend to Germany, we are friend to some countries that have found their ways out of the dungeon. So how do you leverage on it? Somebody sent me a message on this issue of Sweden, the Prime Minister, and said he hopes developing countries are learning. And I responded that if developing countries have been learning, by now they should be developed. Singapore left Malaysia in 1965. Just 2 years after Nigeria became a republic in 1963, because we gained our political independence on October 1, 1960. So can we claim to be running shoulder to shoulder with Singapore today? So I think this is a defining moment, and I'm so passionate about it. I said the same thing during the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari, that the hopes are high, it's your opportunity. Those 8 years are gone. So now my President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, whom I respect so much, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is there. Show them class, sir. If you allow them to make you fail, it's your name that will be written there. There's what we call the Hall of Fame. Lee Kuan Yew is gone in Singapore, but he will forever be honored. I've never bothered myself to go and study about the names of the ministers of Lee Kuan Yew. I had got no business with that. I've studied the magic of Singaporean transformation. It's all about what the Lee Kuan Yew say. If you go to the UAE, Sheikh Zayed is gone to be with his maker. But he will forever be celebrated. I think in 2018 he was to turn 100. I was going from Abu Dhabi to New York City. You needed to see how this man was being celebrated. I watched a documentary on how he transformed a desert to an earthly paradise. So these things are there. So our president is connected. He's been going around the world. But let's come back home and see how we can create an enabling environment. And Mr. President,
create jobs for our youth.
You are surrounded by enemies.
So are you saying that this, like Mr. Banji was asking, the naira to dollar rate that has refused to come down is because we are not producing anything?
That is my layman understanding, because we don't actually have a control over that currency. You know what I mean? Okay, look at our local naira, and thank you for prompting that. I feel for Nigerians. Now Nigerians buy naira with naira. Because if you go to the bank, how much would the bank give you? So I was somebody who runs a POS business. I was interviewing him last night. We were having a discussion on a need he had. And I asked him, how do you get money for your customer? I said, they buy it. How much? About 2,500 for 100,000. So you see them going to filling stations to queue. So the ones filling stations collect from customers, they resell to POS. POS goes out there. I don't know how much. Maybe on that 100,000, he makes about 10,000 naira. And we are now talking of foreign exchange. So we have issues in our hands. Issues. And we have ministries, departments, and agencies that are expected. So all these things go into what we call an enabling environment. In public relations, there's what you call...
What I fear most in Nigeria is that when such things happen, it always finds a way to linger and then flourish, and then it becomes like...
becomes part of the system.
Yes.
It can be prevented. And I said it earlier. There are sponsors behind all these things. You think that the kidnappers who are kidnapping and collecting ransom, they are not alone in the bush. They have kingpins. They have godfathers and godmothers.
May God put an end to it. Now, one of the topmost economists in this country, Bismarck Rewani, has projected that this suffering that Nigerians are passing through will last at least the next 6 months. Do you think Nigerians have the capacity to actually go through this for another 6 months?
I wish Nigerians the best, but I want to ask a question that, are we not even losing the definition of hardship? Because many people are already conditioned to the so-called hardship. They have adjusted. When the pump price of petroleum jumped through to about 600 naira, many people stopped driving.
Yeah.
They started driving like Americans, slow on the roads. Go out there today. The roads are filled.
They are filled, they are back.
And they are speeding like and I think that is one of the advantages the government in Nigeria has. People do not know what they deserve.
Docility.
Exactly. People don't know what they are entitled to. So they don't. And a wise man said that in business, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So we are not even negotiating. We are not. So people are just waiting to what's next. And, I mean, when you go to the market, you must be disturbed. What you bought for 750
Can't be the same
in July 2023.
It's now 1,005.
1,007.
Did you say July?
No, of course.
No,
Yeah,
Of course, our
benchmark
inflation stands at 28 to 29% as we speak.
I'm not reckoning with percentage, sir. Leave that to economists and mathematicians. I'm talking of reality. Reality. What you bought for 700 naira in July.
I said you should say last week.
No, I want to be generous. You know, in July, let's give like 7 months or 6 months or whatever. By the time you go to the same shop and ask, and it's not their fault. So we need to work on this. But I've mentioned something here today, and I want my president to look at it. Please, even if we are going through this hardship, I don't know for how long, I pray to God that he reverses our condition like he did to the Zionists. You know, turn around their captivity suddenly.
You're also talking to
let it reflect, please. Some leaders are not showing the citizens there is hardship in Nigeria. And we need to deal with that.
You also need to talk to our citizens, though they've been very resilient. How much more resilience do they require
I don't need to preach to citizens.
Our faithfulness,
they are already in it. They are adjusting. I'm fortunate to grow up in
but the president has sought their cooperation, their support.
He does not need
for him
to seek their support. The support is there already. You see, the citizens in this country, they just talk to government. So it's the government that will just pity them. You know, there is just the government that will pity them. And then, you know, I was going to say, like, I'm fortunate to have grown up in the hands of wonderful parents who taught us various parables, you know. So they say you don't want the woman wearing spaghetti to go and dress properly in Hamatan. When he comes out of the room, we go back inside to find correct. So I don't need to preach to citizens. You know, like somebody joked that if you spend all your money in December, then be ready to dance around in January. Everyone must plan now, prioritize, as we hope that the leadership of this country and the citizens will allow the mercy of God, because I am in the school of thought that God has shown this country mercy. If you sit down and look at his blessings upon this nation, he has released his own prerogative of mercy. It's now for us to appropriate that mercy and enjoy the good of the land collectively. And let me say this, where you neglect a part of the citizenry and you think you are enjoying, we are all threatened. And that speaks to the insecurity we have in the land. So we may come to the point where you will need armored reading glasses, not just armored SUV, if you don't start reversing the poverty in the land. And I'm speaking to leadership.
That's a good point to hang in, Jumake.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for your thoughts and your time.
We thank God. Happy New Year.
We're looking forward to a great 2024.
It's already great. Like I said, the year is great. It's for all of us to adjust and I'm sure that the opportunities there do not escape as we navigate.
So we'll go now into the next segment of the program, like we always do, showcasing some developmental strides of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration in Lagos State. So please sit back and enjoy it. My name is Jumoke Michael. See you again. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's our package, as Jumoke said. And my name is Banji Busari. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
The Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line Ikeja Overpass Bridge, a 620-meter bridge, was commissioned on Tuesday, 19th December 2023, with this administration reiterating its commitment to a transport system that is safe, sustainable, integrated, seamless, and with the potential to drive the socio-economic growth and development of the state, and indeed Nigeria. The commissioning event had in attendance the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, the First Lady, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, the Deputy Governor's wife, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat, the Lagos House of Assembly Speaker, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, traditional rulers, party members, and representatives of Agege, Ikeja, and environs. Abimbola Akinjo, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, commended Governor Sanwo-Olu for laying the LRMT Red Line, noting that one of the highly essential components of the Red Line was the construction of 5 overpass bridges to separate vehicular and pedestrian traffic from train traffic.
It has a total of 620 meters. I would also like to inform you that the infrastructure to support the operation of the 27-kilometer stretch, representing the first phase of the Red Line, which is a 37-kilometer rail system in total, they're already in place. We have already done 8 stations, rail platforms built at Oyingbo, Yaba, Mushin, Oshodi, Ikeja, Agege and Iju. The Red Line, when open for passenger operations, will tremendously improve the mobility of the people of Lagos and also the economy of the state. The entire 37-kilometer Red Line is expected to move over 1 million passengers daily when it is fully operational. This train line will reduce congestion, emission, and facilitate easy movement for our commuters and goods. I want to really appreciate all stakeholders for their cooperation to get us to the point that we are at today. I want to particularly appreciate Lagos State House of Assembly, headed by the Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa. Also to acknowledge and to appreciate our Chairman, House Committee on Transportation, Honorable Temitope Adewale. I also want to mention particularly the Nigerian Railway Corporation and the Federal Ministry of Transport for their cooperation and support in implementing these projects. We will share tracks with the NRC from Ebute Meta Junction all the way to Agbado, whilst the Federal Ministry of Transport provided a conducive environment for the construction of the bridges, as well as our own dedicated tracks from Ebute Meta Junction to Oyingbo. We also acknowledge the Ogun State Government for their cooperation with the Lagos State Government under the Lagos-Ogun Joint Development Commission for assisting us during the land acquisition for one of our train stations in Agbado. I want to thank Mr. Governor for your support and determination to see to the completion of the first phase of the Red Line and as well the Blue Line rail systems. I also want to thank a special guest of honor, His Excellency Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, for coming to be a part of our joy as a state today. To all of our esteemed stakeholders, especially the chairman of Ikeja local government and all the staff, we say thank you and welcome to the commissioning of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line Ikeja Overpass Bridge.
The chairman of CCECC, Mr. Sam, described the scope of the project in his speech.
Completion of the Lagos Red Line Ikeja Overpass Bridge, which is an important milestone for the project. Over the years, with the continued support from Your Excellency, from the Lagos State Government and the people of Lagos, together with the joint efforts of relevant stakeholders, we finally arrived at this completion day. Please allow me to express my sincere gratitude to Your Excellency. Mr. Governor of Lagos State for all the support and assistance provided to CCECC in achieving this milestone. Also, allow me to acknowledge the support from Ms. Yan Yuqing, the Consul General China, which greatly encouraged the Chinese expert team. I wish to equally extend my thanks to relevant ministers and agencies of Lagos State, especially to the Lamata team and the GIBB Nexent consultant team for your kind support and understanding in the past years. Special thanks goes to our friends and all residents in the neighboring communities for being cooperative and understanding during construction. At last, the successful completion of the Ikeja Overpass Bridge represents a significant stride in advancing Lagos' transportation infrastructure. This bridge plays an important role in effectively enhancing the transportation capacity of Lagos. As a responsible and reputable international contractor, CCECC should stand for delivering the projects with high standard and quality in the future. We will be ready for participating in more public infrastructure construction in Lagos State.
The State Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun Oshiemi, urged commuters, motorists to adhere to traffic rules and regulations. He warned that hawking and selling, use of bikes on the bridge remains prohibited.
The state, under the visionary leadership of Mr. Governor, Dr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, and Mr. Deputy Governor, Dr. Okadiri Obafemi Amzat, has embarked on an unparalleled journey to elevate the transportation sector. Aligned with the governor's strategic agenda, our focus extends beyond individual projects to the broader theme of redefining Lagos as a global standard in transportation excellence. The administration's commitment to this transformative vision is reflected in our strategic approach to transport infrastructure development. As outlined in the State Strategic Transport Master Plan, STMP, our goal is not merely to construct projects, but to create a seamless, efficient, and sustainable transportation network that befits a world-class city. In line with these efforts, our ministry is dedicated to formulating policies that prioritize the ease of commuting for our citizens. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that Lagosians experience a transit system that not only enhances connectivity, but also promotes a safe environment. Today's occasion marks a significant milestone in this journey. The Ikeja Overpass Bridge, among the infrastructure projects apportioned to Lagos State by the Federal Ministry of Transportation, underscores our commitment to enhancing vehicular traffic circulation in and out of the state capital. We call upon motorists and commuters to embrace the vision by strictly adhering to traffic rules and regulations. Moreover, we implore the business community in this vicinity to take ownership of this project, understanding its pivotal role in shaping the future of transportation in Lagos. It is imperative to emphasize that activities such as hawking or selling on the bridge will not be tolerated, and the prohibition of commercial motorcycles on the bridge is strictly enforced. In extending my congratulations to Mr. Governor, Mr. Deputy Governor, and the entire Lagos populace, let us collectively celebrate not only the achievement of individual projects, but the overarching vision that positions Lagos as a beacon of transportation excellence in the global stage. May this concerted effort propel Lagos towards becoming a paragon of best practices in transportation, setting standards for other metropolises to emulate.
The chairman of Ikeja local government, Dr. Mojid Balogun, appreciated the governor and the government for the speedy completion of the overpass bridge.
Today's celebration is very significant and important in the history of our community because it's a dream we all look forward for. I want to express my utmost gratitude and appreciation to your ever-performing governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has called Mr. Selibu on the occasion of this commissioning of the bridge overpass. I must say that the bridge will enhance the functionality and reduce traffic along our way. Our people are most satisfied and encouraged by this landmark achievement, and we want to use this opportunity to humbly request for a swift intervention of the state government on Anifoche area.
Mr. Mudashiru Obasa, the Honorable Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, in his goodwill message, implored residents of the state to use the infrastructure very respectfully.
The role this project is going to play in reducing traffic jams and problems along these areas. It is we from Agege, Ikeja, Alimosho, and by extension, maybe Oshodi, can really testify. And we have nothing to say than to commend the governor by starting this project and refuse to make it an abandoned project. We thank you, Mr. Governor. And this has further added to the civilization of this community and the development. And we are not taking it for granted. We are happy. And I know what this must have contributed to the economy of this community, starting from the beginning to this time. And I'm sure it will continue to improve on the economy. Looking at the business environment that we have Computer Village here, we have Ikeja Club here, we have so many interesting things around this place. And this will continue to impact on them positively. So, Mr. Governor, we have done this as registered. This is the fourth one. We did one in Agege some time ago. We have done several ones, and this is another one. So we are urging you not to get tired and not to rest. We must continue to dish this out. So it is promise made, and it is fulfilled already. And to our people, you must take ownership, and you must protect it, because it's going to serve us and those coming behind us. Going to the party, it is avenue for us to further sell our party, that all we have promised, we have fulfilled.
In his address, the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, noted that the flyover bridge will help transform the state and also save time on the road, amongst others. He reiterated commitment to work with private initiatives to provide transport system that's safe, seamless, and secured for Lagosians.
The infrastructure we're commissioning today is one of the 5 overpasses bridges that we plan on our red line rail alignment. Today, I'm happy to announce to Lagosians that this is the 4th in the series. We have commissioned bridge number 1, bridge number 2, bridge number 3. Here we're commissioning bridge number 4. Distinguished guests, bridge number 5 will take us back to Mushin. Before the end of the month of January, the 5th bridge, which is the Mushin overpass, will be ready, because right now it's over 90% construction, which will bring about all of our 5 overbridges that we promise on this infrastructure. These bridges are all about our commitment to the safety of our people by developing permanent solutions to recurring issues around pedestrian and vehicle accidents that might happen on any rail crossing. The completion and the formal commissioning of this safety infrastructure is a precursor to the commencement of passenger operations on the Red Line. We believe that the Red Line is around 95–96% completion, and within the next couple of days or months or so, or weeks, precisely in the month of January, Lamata has assured us that we will start the testing, the train movement testing on the Red Line. You can see our promise on an integrated internodal mass transportation system is on course, is on track. The LMT Red Line rail system, therefore, will be the face that will be moving over 500 passengers on a daily basis, which will stretch over 27 kilometers all the way from Agbado in Ogun State to Oyingbo. with 8 stations at Agbado, in Iju, in Agege, in Ikeja, in Oshodi, in Mushin, in Yaba, and it will eventually terminate at Oyinbo. We will continue to work with the private sector on all of these initiatives to achieve a seamless integrated transport system that is befitting for the commercial economic nerve center of our country, Lagos, the 5th largest economy on the continent of Africa. Use it well. Make sure it's a means of commuting. Make sure we do not drive against traffic on it. Make sure that we are not turning it into a bus station. Make sure that we're not turning it into a standstill, that will not be efficient. It is meant to reduce journey time. It is meant to cut journey time from the hours that you have on traffic into a solution that will cross you onto the Ikeja along, onto the road that takes you to Mongoro in a seamless manner. So please, I want to appeal to all of you. Take charge of it. Take full ownership of it. See it as your asset. See it as government intervention that will benefit and, that will be befitting for each and every one of you.
The Kwara State Governor and Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Mr. Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, in his remarks, commended the efforts of the Lagos State Government, noting that the road project is focused on national development.
Gentlemen of the press, it's my pleasure to join Your Excellency, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the government, and the people of Lagos State for the commissioning of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line Overpass Bridge. It's another bold signature project of the Lagos State government. This adds to the previous ones that the Lagos State government has built and commissioned. I congratulate Your Excellency, your government, and the people of Lagos State for this feat. What we're seeing here today supports the fact that development is a process, not a destination. Between 1999 and now, we have seen consistent impressive improvement in infrastructure development across all sectors in Lagos State, including those that support mass transit systems. The Ikeja Overpass and similar projects like it are a bold testament and testimony in this respect. But particular what you have noted is the huge advantage policy consistency makes. And that is what we're seeing in Lagos, consistency and progression in government. Over the years, successive administrations in the state have built on one another's successes and executed projects that strengthen Lagos' role where it is in Nigeria's economy today and in Africa's economy today and as a global city. Congratulations. This is largely to the legacy of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. In other words, Lagos has been a beneficiary of bold and progressive vision built around people's welfare. I believe this is what's emulating across the country for faster socio-economic growth. Regardless of party affiliation and individual differences, developmental agenda should be people-focused, as is being done in Lagos State. I therefore commend Your Excellency, the government of Lagos State, and all the team members who contributed to the delivery of this project of national importance. I don't see this as just a Lagos State project. Lagos belongs to all of us. Clearly, the outcome that we are seeing here today has justified the time and resources spent in executing this project. Now, why I say we all belong here is because most of the leaders today in Nigeria have spent time, have passed through Lagos, spent time in Lagos, and succeeded in Lagos, and to apply those successes in other states of the Federation. So, well, we thank God for this project and wish you all well. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. We now invite our host.
The plaque was unveiled and the bridge was commissioned by Governor Sanwo-Olu and his counterpart, Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, and other officials. The event culminated in a tour of the overpass bridge. The Ikeja Overpass Bridge. The Ikeja Overpass Bridge is one of the 5 overpass bridges ceded to the Lagos State government for construction on the Red Line corridor, where the Nigeria Railway Corporation and the Red Line will share tracks. The bridge, which is T-shaped with a length of 620 meters, will significantly reduce traffic congestion on the Obafemi Awolowo Way and the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway and Old Lagos-Abeokuta Motorway.
Autumn lies over the Bavarian Forest National Park. The low-lying sun lends the park a particular magic. No bird, not a sound echoes through the forests. Only the falling leaves interrupt the mysterious silence. The smell of the forest has changed. It has become intense and heavy. But this golden autumn also marks the beginning of a difficult time. For many animals, it will be harder to find food. Even the lynx finds it harder to hunt for food in the snow. Over a dozen of these elegant cats are wandering through this border to the Czech Republic again. They were gone from the Bavarian forest for over 150 years, and sightings are still rare. It has had too many bad experiences with the predator man. Others are little impressed by the change in season, like the European otter. The water is its kingdom. The otter's physical characteristics are perfectly adapted to a life in water. The thick, water-resistant fur boasts 50,000 hairs on every square centimeter of its body. It can seal its eyes and ears, and its large lung capacity allows it to stay underwater for up to 7 minutes. The otter is a playful yet solitary mammal. The national park is only a part of the otter's original habitat. It used to live in the abundant waterways of streams and rivers, but human activity, hunting and water pollution forced the otter out. When it had to resort to helping itself from fishing ponds, it was almost wiped out, an animal that had been indigenous to Bavaria for centuries. Autumn, the time of the mushroom. Their diversity and abundance is hard to grasp. A few species, like this fungus beetle, can finally afford to be picky. It depends on a very specific mushroom that only grows on wood at a particular point of decay. These conditions are rare and fleeting. Mushrooms are a microcosm unto themselves. Being an able climber is an advantage, but only clean feet have enough traction, and regular preening is vital. It's the ceremonial garb in which the forest bids the year farewell, a feast for the senses. Here, along the highland border, autumn draws in 3 weeks earlier than in the